Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Publicly Buzzed Live on a Tuesday night. Yeah, I told you guys tonight, and you probably already seen. I put the thumbnail out there already. Last night I was teasing a special guest tonight. Tonight I'm joined by none other than Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show. What's going on, dude?
How's it going, man? Everything's going well on my side of the world, so to speak, or of the country.
Hell yeah.
How about yourself?
I'm good, dude. I'm excited as hell to have you on here, first of all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been excited about this as well.
Definitely, dude. And I see right now chat is filling the hell up. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for being here. As you come through, guys, hit the like, helps us out in the algorithm. If you're not subbed up and you come through randomly, you know, if you're here because of Daniel and the Drunk Turkey Show, make sure to sub up, hit the 3 little dots on the side, and make sure to hit all notifications so you don't miss anything in the future from Publicly Buzzed. And just real quick, we'll get this out of the way. We go live every Tuesday night at 9, like right now, p.m. Eastern Time. Thursdays, p.m. Eastern Time as well at 9, and then Friday nights. Now, Friday nights is one I just want to promote real quick. We get a little bit wilder on this show on Friday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, though. Usually pretty much right after the Drunk Turkey Show on Friday nights. And yeah, dude, I am excited. First of all, this is going to be a little bit of a different show. We're going to go over some Idaho stuff out the gate. You can't not go over some of this Bethany Funke stuff that's going on, but actually I have a little bit of something else planned for a little bit later that I'd like to go into with you, and I'm excited to do it. I mean, as you being a former police officer.
Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. I'm definitely interested in seeing what you got. I have no idea what videos you have pulled up, so I'm excited to react to them with you.
And real quick, let me just pull this over to the internet here. Right here. And I just wanted to pull this up. We're not going to dive in. We both did a show. I was watching your show earlier when you were talking about this. And last night I went pretty heavily into this as well. But I do just want to kind of get your reactions on this show about some of the language that's in this new affidavit. I know we were talking about it just before we went on live here, that there's even newer stuff popping off. But I am still interested in what was really being talked about yesterday, specifically from this Richard Bentonti, probably butchering that guy's name, but Mr. Bentonti, who is an investigator and a criminal investigator that is on the Bryan Kohberger and Taylor's side of things, and some of the stuff that he says that he's found.
Right, yeah, no, there's some pretty crazy stuff in here.
And specifically, well, okay, 2 things. I'm going to start with this one right here. The number 11. You know, this is from Bentonti right here. During the course of my investigation, it became known to me that Bethany Funke has information material to the charges against Mr. Kohberger. Portions of information Miss Funke is exculpatory. It took me a minute to learn that last night as well. To the defendant, Miss Funke's information is unique to her experiences and cannot be provided by another witness. That right there just sounds insane.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, you know, I think there's a lot of clues in that statement. There's a lot of clues as to what this possibly could be. You know, when it comes to that second part, or the last part, which says that is information unique to her experience, that leads me to believe that whatever experience that may be, that occurred at that house. Now, there's been some rumors and speculation. Even myself thought maybe perhaps this was something that occurred at the Sigma Chi house, but there was more than one witness there at the Sigma Chi house if something had occurred there. And so this leads me to believe that more than likely, whatever information she has, it's from the night and the incident, and maybe perhaps something that she had heard or seen at the house. Now, the other thing that I'm thinking of is if it's exculpatory, that meaning that it could exonerate him, or information that could prove his innocence, leads me to believe that that's either information that she has that puts somebody else at that house or puts Bryan Kohberger at another place. Right. One or the other.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that, because I mean, and when you really read it like that, what could be specific to her, somebody that we've really not heard a lot about in this case specifically, right? Very little has come out about her. Really, the focus on the other person has been on, you know, Dylan so far. But what has this man found or discovered? Or would it have been in past, you know, testimonies from her, or interviews from police? Because they mentioned that they were going over that. But what could he have been doing as a private investigator? Like, any hunches that what he would have been kind of, because I don't understand how, like, of course a private investigator is going to have, I'm sure he was probably a former police officer, maybe even higher credentials than that. He probably has connections within law enforcement, but how has he, and he's probably also from Idaho and she's in Nevada. Like, how has he dug into her deeper? Do you think it was through nefarious means? I guess is really what I'm trying to get at. Like,
I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, he was hired on or appointed by Ann Taylor, which is Bryan Kohberger's attorney. So I'm assuming that he probably has privilege to all the information that Ann Taylor has. And he may have been going through some of the statements that Bethany Funke had stated. And, because in the probable cause affidavit, it does state that they took statements from Bethany and Dylan Mortensen. They just don't go into detail what is that Bethany stated. Maybe perhaps there's a reason behind why they didn't go into great detail. The other thing is, I think, what do you think about the coincidence as far as this coming out March 22nd and then 2 days later, the whole Giglio Brady issue is brought up?
Is that going to connect somehow as well?
It very well could be, because when you look at Brady is basically hiding or not disclosing of evidence that could show innocence to somebody, usually the person that they are attempting to prosecute. And the Giglio aspect of it has to do with credibility. And so a lot of us assume that because they had two officers that had a situation with the sticker gate, so to speak, and that they had lied under oath, basically saying that there was no body cam footage of the interrogation that they had with one juvenile and another person, referencing that sticker gate, and then come to find out later afterwards that there was video evidence from a body cam, meaning that they had lied under oath. I thought that was initially it. I believe that was Officer Nunez and Gunnarsson, and those were two of the officers that had arrived on scene right away. Maybe perhaps they try to also not disclose something. There's been one thing that I've told everybody, like the way Brady works is, and I was explaining it with Big Blue last night or this morning. If Blue gets off of work at 9 o'clock in the morning and there's a crime that's committed at 9:15 or 9:30, and Blue finds, he gets home and he discovers this crime, and they start to say, hey, this crime had occurred at 9:15. You got off of work at 9:30, at 9 o'clock. You had means, let's just say this is somebody that he had motive against. You have means, opportunity, and motive. And then he says, nah, man, I went for a drive, right? I went for a drive around town. They go back, they look at some video evidence, and they find his car by a red light at 9:15, half a mile away or a mile away from the house, in the direction that he said. And so that kind of leads him to believe that, all right, maybe he was being truthful. And instead of putting that evidence out there, they hide it.
Yeah, dude.
Because it doesn't go with their narrative. So that's the Brady aspect of it. Is there possibly something that Bethany may have stated that would have gone against what maybe Dylan Mortensen has stated, or maybe against what the narrative that the police department is going with, and thus hid that information? And if that was an officer that did that, then that would definitely have issues with his credibility, and also fall under line when it comes to Brady. So what I'm thinking is, and this is the other thing as well, is maybe she recognized the voice that was there, and she stated something like, oh, I think that the person that was there was one of the boyfriends.
Right.
Then, or maybe she saw something, and it just doesn't go with the narrative that this is Bryan Kohberger. That's the only thing that I can possibly think of. I know there's been some rumors out there that she supposedly heard yelling and screaming and things of that nature. People awake at the time, which would go against what Dylan Mortensen stated as far as not hearing that aspect of it.
Yeah. I could see that, actually being like a split in their actual statements, and that being a problem for the state, right?
It could be, but I don't see how that necessarily exonerates Bryan Kohberger.
Right,
if she were to say, I heard somebody screaming, two men yelling in the bedroom, that doesn't mean that it's not Kohberger. The way it would exonerate Kohberger, in my opinion, is if she recognized that voice or saw somebody that she recognized at that house.
Yeah, that's the only thing that could make sense with the way he's wording this. Let me put it back there on the internet. The way he's wording it here, because I can't wrap my head kind of around what he would have, or he would have found, that is making him so. Honestly, if they've gone as far as to drop this affidavit, right, and subpoena her to come, they're pretty confident that they have something, right? Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, look at number 9.
Let's go back here.
Look at number 9.
Okay, number 9. Bethany Funke was interviewed by police on several occasions. She disclosed things she heard and things she saw.
So I don't think you put that in there if she maybe perhaps didn't hear somebody that she recognized or didn't see somebody that she recognized that wasn't Kohberger.
Right. That is very specific. And then right after number 10, Bethany Funke was present at the home 8 hours later when police were called, arrived on scene. So yeah, that's basically stating she was there the entire time.
Right. And the probable cause pretty much states that she was there. She says that supposedly she slept through the entire the entire incident. Now, the other thing that they looked into. So if we go to the probable cause affidavit, the only thing that Bethany Funke has anything to do with this case is she puts Ethan and Xana at the Sigma Chi house. She puts them home at 1:45, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they looked at their phone records to determine more or less when this crime had occurred. Now, the reason why I think that's important, or that aspect as far as the phone records are, is it's been rumored or been put out there by Ethan's sister-in-law that that Dylan called everybody in the house. Now, if she called everybody after the fact, and they can then coordinate that time when she called and the time that when Bethany may have answered, because my theory is that maybe perhaps she did hear yelling, maybe perhaps she did hear what she thought was just a loud party. Same thing that Dylan did.
Yeah.
Dylan goes, and yells outside, whoever the alleged person may be, whether it's Bryan Kohberger or somebody else who committed this crime, heard somebody yell at them, thought, okay, it's time to go, time to get out of here, leaves straight away. Dylan sees this person, is scared, sees that he has a mask that probably would scare her.
Mm-hmm.
So she begins to call people in the house. Bethany answers and says, oh, don't worry about it. That's just, I heard Jack DeCore. Not saying that Jack DeCore was there or that she heard him, but
just
she's
a
like,
familiar voice.
It's Jack.
That would make sense.
Yeah. It's just Jack and so-and-so or Showalter and so-and-so. Don't worry about it. Everything's all right. And they're using that timestamp as a moment of when this crime had committed, and that's how you can kind of determine a time frame. You have that call log. You have also the video surveillance of the White Elantra at the time, and the ring audio that was going on, and that all indicates the time of when this crime was committed. And I believe that's what it says almost verbatim in the probable cause affidavit, but they put it in such weird words that if you're not familiar with legal terminology, it can be a little bit confusing.
Yeah, that's me on a lot of this, actually. Real quick, we do have a couple of super chats here I want to get to. 3434JJJ for the 1999 super chat. Thank you for that, 34. Appreciate it. At the request of the defense, I believe it could be the prosecution, but Idaho's attorney general is now on the case. That's kind of what we were seeing earlier before we came into this. Some of the new info coming out. Thank you for that, though, 3434. Also see another one here from Creed64 with a $4.99 super chat. All the bings on his cell phone could have been seeing Bethany and visiting her at the house. So do you think there's anything to that? Do you think there's any No, I mean, at the same time, dude, that would be so messed up. Like, if she's holding on to anything like that, right?
The thing is, they're going based off the statements that she said to the police, right? That's what this says. She made several statements and disclosed things that she heard and things that she had seen. If she had disclosed that Bryan Kohberger was there at that house and she put him there, then that would be in the probable affidavit that somebody put him at the house.
Right, yeah.
Regardless if it was a so-called booty call. Let's just say that was the situation. We'll go to the extent of that. If it was that, and she told him, they asked who was at that house. She goes, oh, Bryan Kohberger came over. We're talking, we're dating. She puts him at that house. You have the DNA on the sheet. That's the only thing that's missing out of this, as far as the probable cause affidavit goes, is putting him at the home. And so if that were to be the case, I don't think that that's information that would necessarily help Kohberger as much as it probably could hurt him, given all the other information that is out there. Somebody putting him at the house. So when it comes to this, I don't think that's the aspect of it. In my opinion, I think it's that she put somebody else there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, because I mean, the more I've heard that numerous times, and that crossed my mind too. I can't lie, but when you really think about it, it doesn't add up. But I wanted to go over this right here, and I know you were talking about this earlier as well. You and Big Blue went into it a little bit on your show earlier. Hold on. I might have passed it up here. What's in these? Brian Enton ones here. Here we go. Yeah, the craziest thing that's said right here at the end here, even if they find, say they did get her, they did end up getting her to the pretrial, right? That part right here where they basically say, even if she possesses exculpatory evidence which remains unknown, granted, there is no place or reason to present that evidence at a preliminary hearing. That is insanity, dude. Like, and they would rather go to trial and be in front of a jury than, and that's just it to say the wildest side of the spectrum. If he could be innocent, right? That's fucked up. Like,
right. 100%. That's the one thing I do not agree with this at any point of this investigation. If there is evidence out there that proves somebody is innocent, that needs to be brought up immediately. I mean, the police were very quick to clear Jack DeCore, clear the victims of the other victims in the house, clear Showalter, clear the private driver. But yet, you know, as soon as they got evidence that stated that these persons were possibly not involved, they were able to put that out there, clear their name. You know, you put yourself in this guy's shoes. Let's just say he is innocent. He's sitting behind bars wrongfully. If he is innocent,
right?
You know,
if,
and in my opinion, if there's any type of evidence, it doesn't matter if it's prior to conviction, post conviction, because there are people who have gone and been convicted of crimes that they did not commit. You know, it's been documented several times. It's not as often as, you know, we probably would imagine. Most times and not, they're rightfully convicted, but nobody's perfect. No system is perfect, and some people do end up going to jail for something they didn't do. As soon as evidence comes out that something, you know, in my opinion, if there's ever evidence that comes out, that to me there's an innocent man, or says there's an innocent person in jail, and that evidence should come forward immediately.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you're taking somebody's freedom away, and at this point, we don't know what this evidence is, but if it is out there, I mean, this guy spent what, 6 months behind bars, you know, with, you know, under some, you know, I don't know what conditions he's in, but nobody deserves that if they're innocent.
No, even if he's being treated fine and dandy, you know, in the jail that he's in, Jesus Christ, his whole life, I mean, that's something. Again, it's the furthest part. If this could happen, if they do have the wrong guy, like, that would be crazy, dude. And then I think you said it earlier, you said if that is what's happening, this is about to be a really rich dude. He's going to be selling this. I mean, he's going to be suing motherfuckers. He's going to be selling this shit to Hollywood. He'll be writing books probably, and rightfully so at that point. But yeah, and I mean, I'm not that far yet. I'm not saying I am, but reading that, the way it's actually the way it's actually written out there is it's, for quite frankly, it's gross as hell. Like that.
Do you think maybe perhaps do you think he could go after like News Nation? Like, because right now News Nation is still throwing him under the bus.
That'd probably be the one, right? Like, he'd probably have to go after Ashley Banfield directly. Chris Cuomo directly, bro.
Yeah. I mean, that's I would agree. So, I mean, you know, when it came to this case, I've told a lot of people that there's some evidence here that doesn't really jive, and I think there's a lot of holes that a defense can bring up. And that for me, when people ask me, do you think he did it or not? I honestly tell people I have no idea. You know, to me, it comes down to the evidence in the car. If there is DNA in that car, then I think he's done skis. He's done. Now, Kohberger should know at this point what that evidence is. And if he's still willing to fight it and exonerate, and there's some sort of evidence here that could exonerate him, maybe there isn't any DNA in that car. And if there's not, you know, this guy left in a, from what I understand, and based on what the probable causes said is what Dylan has stated, I strongly believe whoever committed this crime was startled by Dylan yelling out, "Shut up," right? Because that's been what's been reported. I think that may have happened. And it makes a lot of sense if somebody heard somebody say something, you know, they're probably in the moment, tunnel vision, going through, you know, doing whatever it is that they're doing in that room with Xana and Ethan, and all of a sudden they just hear somebody yell. They don't know what was yelled.
Real quick, hold on. Right here in the chat, we have a bigger channel in here. Harsh Realities in here, and he's saying someone woke me up, calling me, saying someone overseas just read the 911 transcript. Can someone confirm these reports? And I haven't seen anything like that at all.
Um,
Like, that'd be crazy.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Wow. And yeah, thank you for coming in here, Harsh Reality. I watch your stuff pretty regularly.
Me too. Daily activity log. I'm not seeing anything on the Google.
It's just read over. Who's here? Apparently, the 911 transcript was just read by an overseas account. I can't locate it. Everybody start digging. Yeah, we'll have to start seeing what we can find. That would be crazy.
That would be nuts. I'm
It's got to be out there, right? I mean, that
shit's
shit's got to be starting to drop. I know everything's, you know, gag ordered up, but
But the thing is, like the 911 call, I don't understand why that's not even released. Like that doesn't make any sense why that's not released.
dude, that never happens, right?
And why wouldn't it be released?
There's a lot of little weird things like that. I mean, maybe the argument could be that it's such a viral, sensationalized thing, but that still shouldn't like affect the laws, right? Like if because even people
Right.
are putting in the, you know, the Freedom of Information Acts to get stuff and being denied on stuff that probably should be out there by now.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. There's a lot of things that aren't, and it just kind of seems like the police department has used verbiage, or law enforcement used verbiage, something to the effect like, what was it, that to protect law enforcement, this is why they have a gag order. Like, what do they need protecting from?
Right. That was very weirdly written.
And then you find out the Brady Giglio thing. You find out, maybe now that there's more to this story. Is it the fact that they're trying to protect themselves from being ridiculed? I don't know, but there's some fishy stuff going on here, and it's definitely, in my opinion, it's not looking good, man. At this point, with all this that's come out, I think that it's going to be a very difficult case to prosecute. Even the presence,
I
the
don't think
scene
that they expected.
preservation wasn't there.
I don't think they expected it to go this far.
Maybe not.
Like,
Maybe
honestly,
not, but
I don't think so, man. Like, I don't think, like, well, then again, at the bottom, the craziest part is the first thing he said was, I can't wait to be exonerated, right? So, like, right there, and then, like, the further we get down the line, the more weird shit starts to happen. But I would say probably before that was even said, before they started, like, I'm talking December 30th, 31st, January 1st, they were probably like, this dude's going to buckle any second, right?
you would think so. And I think that when you read the probable cause affidavit and you read some of the information that they have, I think they were banking on finding a lot of information and finding evidence there. You would assume that somebody committing a crime like this and having to leave so quickly, not being able to clean up after himself or not being able to clean himself, would have transferred a lot of DNA into the car. So you're assuming you're going to get some evidence there. You're going to assume, and even the probable cause affidavit states that they assume that they're going to find planning on his phone, on his computer. They're going to find evidence that shows that this guy maybe had maps drawn up, things of that nature that were, that would lead them to believe that this is the person that they have. I think I hear myself.
I think you're good.
Oh, I can hear myself in my ear like a few seconds behind.
Oh, weird. Did it just start?
Just a few minutes ago, or like while I was talking in this last sentence.
Weird. Does
Like
anybody?
right now, I can hear him match. Oh, it's louder now.
Weird. Does anybody hear that in the actual video? Because on my side, you sound okay. But that is annoying as hell, though.
Yeah, I can just hear like myself like almost if I'm listening to myself on YouTube, where it's like a delay, so to speak. All right, it went away. Whatever that was.
Weird. Dude, I have technical issues on here on the reg, though. It could totally be on my side.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna keep looking for that after later on, because that if we can find that transcript, that would be absolutely insane. That'd be crazy as hell. And I can't really keep up with chat. I see a lot of people saying a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people in here. Thank you all everyone for hanging out in here right now. Appreciate the hell out of it. There's over 242 people in here. Hit that like. Help me get this thing to at least 100 likes today, guys. We'll get that son of a bitch into the algorithm. Appreciate everybody for hanging out in here. Yeah, we are also.
So yeah, I can't find anything.
I know. I was doing a little bit of side digging here myself.
On the interweb. Yeah, nothing. just the information. Now I have reason to believe that the person that called 911 was Hunter Johnson, who lived nearby. I believe he lived in that, or his girlfriend, one of the two. But he stayed at the house that was between the victim's house in 1122 and what was at one time Adam Lauda and Jack DeCore's house, the one where they had the. I'm not sure if you saw that Instagram video where this guy's shotgunning a beer on the top of the roof.
Yeah, I did. I've seen that. Yeah.
So that's where Adam Lauda and Jack DeCore at one point lived. Now, I don't know if they still lived there at the time of this incident, but they at one point did. And I believe that Hunter Johnson was dating somebody named Emily. She may have been the one that was living at that house. It may have been him. However, I heard that it was that he came from that house. They had called him, and the only scenario that makes sense for me is that Dylan may have called him because he was Ethan's best friend, and said, "Hey, you know, Ethan, there was somebody in the house. Ethan's not answering the phone. I'm afraid to go outside. Can you come check on him?" He's worried about it, so he ends up running out there, forgetting his phone behind. Discovers the bodies. You know, yells, "Call 911." Dylan's freaking out because her fears are somewhat realized, and he ends up taking the phone and calling and speaking to dispatch.
Yeah, I've seen that picture, and that picture was one of the first ones that was coming out. Like, well, not one of the first ones that was coming out, but one of the ones that was kind of like almost giving that party vibe to the whole area, right?
Yeah,
almost kind of gave it like that. Well, okay, we'll see what's happening here on a regular basis, and then we started seeing the body cam footages come out and whatnot. But yeah, absolute madness, man. But yeah, this case is just full of surprises. It never stops. Like every single week, there's something crazy going down.
No, yeah, 100%, man. Like, and like I said, this thing is there's so many issues with this case, but it then kind of falls into play. Like, there's a few things I can't get around. One of the things is that when you look at this case against Kohberger and Hull, you have the basically the video canvassing, right? They checked out that there was a white vehicle without a front license plate in the Pullman area, and that it goes down SR, goes towards the direction of SR 270, which is a highway that leads back to Moscow. Then you have that same vehicle, possibly that same vehicle, or a vehicle matching a description of that one, coming back into Pullman at 5:30. Right, so that leads you to believe that if this is the person, or that there's a possible suspect is coming from Pullman, Washington. So or at least in that direction. So they end up going and checking out who's registered at WSU and who lives in that area, and they come across Kohberger. He ends up having a car that at the time of the incident didn't have a front license plate because Pennsylvania doesn't require it. You check his phone records, and his phone was off during the commission of the crime, and during the time in which that vehicle was seen traveling out of Pullman, Washington. And then you have corroborating evidence of him coming into Pullman, Washington, and you're able to corroborate that with his phone pings and match those up together to determine that vehicle at 5:30 in the morning is actually him. So, you then find out that he matches the height and weight. His phone was off during the time of the commission of the crime.
That stuff is still why ultimately I think it's him.
Yeah, the DNA. Yeah, the DNA on the sheath then kind of ties him there, puts him possibly at the scene. So
there's too much that kind of ties together there. And again, I'm not, and at the end of the day, I'm not 100% convinced. I will say that, but those are the things right there that makes me think that they're onto something. And I think there's even more that we haven't seen fully as the full picture, but nah, dude, that stuff right there, that's not by mistake. That's not all of that being a coincidence would be fucking weird.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, in my opinion, I think that's why I think so strongly, and not so much strongly because I really don't know.
At the end of the day, we need to see. Yeah,
I think that they may have gotten the right guy. Now, do they have enough to put him behind bars without reasonable doubt? Think beyond reasonable doubt? I don't think so. Not right now. Now, those ID cards, if one of them does come back to one of the victims in the house, I think that's pretty damning. I mean, that puts you in the house at one point, and doesn't necessarily put you in the house at that time. Now, he was supposedly, and there was an article or something that came out from News Nation that he had broken into somebody else's house, and something about.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
So
Is that the one
I mean,
about
he could easily.
was that the recent one with the friend about the surveillance thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So he could then turn around and say, "Hey, I broke into a couple of houses. I broke into their house at one point, and that's why my DNA's there, and I stole one of their IDs. I was not there that night." So
Yeah.
it is unlikely as it is. That could be a defense to why he has it. Is I'm a burglar. He can just go around saying, "I burglarize people's houses." I don't commit murder. I burglarize. There's a big difference in penalty between those two.
Yeah, 100%, man. That is a very good point. Let me go back here real quick. Yeah, let's dive in. We could literally talk about this probably all day long. We have been. We've talked about this many times. We put hours into this just between us, much less our channels. But real quick, I do want to do something at the end of the show here, just a little bit different. I've got 3 different videos here. 3 different, and they're not too crazy. They're not like violent. I'm not going to have to put up a warning or nothing. But I just want to get a real-time reaction of these videos. The first one we're going to watch is a drunk cop. Hey, you might have seen some of these. One of them was super viral. You've probably seen this one for sure. A drunken cop caught while on the job is going to be the first one.
Let's check this out.
Let me make sure that the sound is right. Real quick. Can you hear that?
Hey, Officer Oscar, why don't we come back out here real quick? Come back here, boss man. It's all good.
Hey, man. So, can you just put your hands on the roof for me? I'm going to remove your gun, okay? You got any other weapons?
No, but I'm
Take it
prone to
easy.
seizures. You're prone to seizures? Okay, I'll turn my lights off real quick for you, all right?
I'm going to put this in my car for the duration of this encounter, okay?
Here we see an on-duty police officer getting pulled over, which is clearly exhibiting signs of impairment despite his best efforts to keep calm and stay cool. And upon searching his car, we see why the cop got pulled over in the first place. And this is allegedly how he was acting before concerned citizens called 911.
Yeah, Center Street and Firewood.
Yes, sir.
All over the road, stopping in the middle of the street, off the road, running stop signs, a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
With this guy. And I tried to call the Popka PD, of course, they say they closed. So we just called 911, I guess it went to you guys.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure other people was probably calling me.
Okay.
But,
yeah, we got a call.
Yeah, he could be having a medical condition, but he was asleep. We passed by his car, he was asleep.
He was asleep?
He was
When did
sitting
you pass by his car?
Right over here at Center and Firewood.
He can't even, he keeps stumbling.
Do you smell anything?
Yeah. And there's a
What do you
beard.
smell?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just making sure. What type of beer can?
He said it was in his center console when he first got there. It was,
Hey, man, just sit down.
hey,
Just chill out, bro.
sit down, sir.
You've ruined your entire life. Just calm down.
It's crazy, man. I mean,
Look at the date.
It's
You
insane.
can't see it. Hold on. Let me pull this up just a hair. 4th of July. This guy started celebrating early.
Yeah, he probably went to a. So here's my assumption.
Okay.
He probably went to a. On holidays sometimes, especially. Where is this at?
That's a good question.
Is
Let's
this
see
a smaller
what it
town?
says in the description here real quick. Doesn't say.
This is a smaller town. There's been times, especially on holidays, officers will go be with their families, and if it's 4th of July and they're having a little barbecue and he's out there with them, he starts drinking, and judgment starts being not the best and continues to drink, and
Decided to
that
go
is
on
the
patrol.
dumbest mistake. Yeah, it's not good to do while you're on patrol. On Thanksgiving, going with your family and just kind of taking calls as they come in is one thing, but going to 4th of July and getting hammered, that's a different story.
Yeah, dude, this guy, and it's honestly really, I mean, he made the mistake. He made the bet and he's got to lay in it, as they say, but it's silly, kind of sad. It sucks that this dude couldn't keep it together, man.
No, yeah, for sure, man.
Just have an EMS.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's you don't want this kind of person on the street protecting you.
That is 100% the truth, though, right? Like, they needed to do
Yes.
this. I'm glad this happened. Yeah, thank God even the concerned citizens were calling, because, yeah.
Come check you out.
Look at this
Did you
guy.
do anything to celebrate today, man?
Now,
No, sir.
No? Listen, man. It's better to be honest. In our profession,
I took a lot of Benadryl.
Listen, in our profession, you know it's best to be honest, right?
No, I know.
Okay.
No, I know. I took the Benadryls.
There is a open container of alcohol in your vehicle. We all make mistakes.
He's like, I needed to, wash the Benadryls down with something.
Dude, I didn't have anything else, and it went straight to my head.
I know our job's stressful.
I mean, here's one thing you could point out. You know what? They're not going to be treating a regular person like this. A guy if this inebriated driving down the road, they pull him over. They're not going to be like, hey, buddy, let's talk to you for a minute. Like,
yeah, but it's not a bad tactic.
No, that's not a bad tactic.
Friend, it'll get somebody to open up pretty easily, especially if they think that you're on their side because you're an officer.
And you actually made a really good point there. Ultimately, these are probably, I mean, they work with this guy, right? They probably actually know this guy.
They may, but going up to him and saying, hey, it's good to be honest with us. We're here to help you, yada, yada, yada. That gets that person to relax, put their shoulders down, and then they'll start just diarrhea them out. When it comes to sometimes what cops say, especially to perps, I've heard like people like, oh man, that cop is sympathizing with that person. I was like, it's a tactic. It's a training tactic that is used, and it works. Especially if you're that convincing that you think that somebody's sympathizing with a perpetrator. That gets that person to open up and talk, because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want this person to open up, talk, and give you information. This guy, they probably can smell the alcohol.
Oh, yeah, have to. The way he's talking.
They have the slurred speech, but he's saying that he has medical issues, and so he's talking about getting seizures and things of that nature. So you want him to open up, so that way he admits that he was consuming the alcohol as well.
That's true. That's actually a really good analysis, dude. Honest to God, because they don't want this to start into a fight with this guy.
Right, and then also, I mean, at the beginning, he had a weapon on him, so you want to take all that away.
That's right. Immediately got the gun. Didn't
hurt. Yeah, they make sure he can't hurt himself or others.
You had a stressful night last night. Okay.
While it is nice to see law enforcement officers show some humanity, it'd be a lot cooler if they treated everyone this way, not just their fellow officer.
I think you actually made a really good point to that, though. I was literally coming at you about a little kind of like that angle. And yeah, dude, why would you accost this guy? Like, there's no reason. Like, you have to get this situation under control first and foremost. And he had a gun. Like,
I mean, if he came out violently or was aggressive, that's a different story. But if he's like that and you need him to talk so you can build up the case, especially when it comes to a DWI or a DWI, there's more to just a DWI. Like, for instance, and I talk about this in reference to Bryan Kohberger, when people were saying, why did they wait so long for the DNA? Why did this happen? You want to articulate why you do things. And in a DWI arrest, if you're patrolling at night and you see somebody operating a vehicle in an improper manner, let's just say they cross over the line, right?
Yeah.
Now, you have probable cause at that moment to stop them. However, if you suspect that they're under the influence of alcohol, whether it be because of the time of night, the area in which they're in, if there's any bars located, where they're coming from, you see them leave a bar or parking lot, then those are some context clues that would lead you to believe that the operator may be under the influence of an intoxicant. And so you can pull them over there, but necessarily does crossing the line mean you're drunk? No, not necessarily. And so if you pull them over just for that and they don't decide to blow or do anything, and even though if you smell things, they're probably likely getting off. So what officers are typically trained to do, especially if they're going to pull somebody over for suspicion of DWI, is they'll turn their camera on at that point, and then they'll try to get at least 3 clues. So you'll have the crossing of the white line, then if they roll a stop sign, as long as they stay safe. Now, if they cross the white line into oncoming traffic, that's a no-go. That's when I would light them up right then and there.
Yeah.
Now, those things are for your articulation to pull them over for the investigation of DWI. So let's just say they roll the stop sign, cross the white line twice, but then go into oncoming traffic. You pull them over. Now, you're suspecting that they're under the influence of an alcoholic beverage, but you can't prove that just with those things. So he could have been on his phone and been distracted. So you walk up, you can't just immediately, or you could, but you don't want to immediately ask them to exit the vehicle. You want to be able to articulate why you're asking them to exit the vehicle. You smell a strong smell of an intoxicant, glossy eyes, bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, unable to find their registration or their insurance card, unable to do simple tasks like that. That gives you that articulation to pull them out of the vehicle. Then pull them out of the vehicle and you conduct your standardized field sobriety test. Now, all of this stuff that's happening is to create a bigger and better case for the prosecution. So then you begin to do your standardized field sobriety test, and those things are what kind of determine whether somebody's intoxicated, and that will articulate you to then require them to give a sample of their breath or blood. And so you want to do things in steps. And when it came to Bryan Kohberger, could they have gotten the trash immediately, or the day that they saw him dropping it off in the neighbor's house? Yeah, they could have. Now, they articulated that collection by getting his phone pings and discovering, because that didn't happen until the 23rd, getting his phone pings, finding out his historical data, finding out that his phone was off during the time of the commission of the crime. All those things led them to believe and articulate why they were collecting the trash to test for his DNA. You don't necessarily need it, but it builds a better case.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, dude. And yeah, I'm not gonna continue on this one. And dude, you broke this down perfectly. That's exactly what I wanted, man. That was awesome. Now you've made me more interested in this next one that I'm gonna show you. Okay, so
let's see it.
You might have seen this one. Now this one was, I remember this one after it happened. It's been a few years ago.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're assuming I'm someone that I'm not.
Volume's a little low though.
Let me see if I can get that any higher. Hold on.
You look like Jake. I look like Jake. You're Jake.
Damn, sadly, I can't get that one any louder. You can't hear that one too well?
No, I can't. It's very low. I have everything turned up.
Get out my face, man. You guys are harassing me. Yes, you guys are.
I can barely hear.
You're fucking harassing me. Yes, you are. No. He's harassing me. Why are you harassing me? You're assuming I'm someone I'm not. Okay, if you're not, then... No. You're not free to go. Okay. Am I being detained? Yeah, you are. For what? You think. Yeah. That's an illusion. That's an illusion. You think. Stand up your hands. I'm not. Yes. For what? I don't have a warrant. You have the wrong guy. No, you're very wrong. Okay. No, you are wrong. What do you mean if you're wrong? You're wrong. You're wrong. We're not going to play this game. Hold on. No. Hold on. You guys are not going to try to manhandle me. I'm not under arrest. I didn't do nothing. For what? For what? Can you tell me for what? For what? I'm under arrest for what? No. You got the wrong guy. I'm suing all of you guys. Let me get your card. Can I get your card? Okay. I'm not standing up. Listen, I'm not under arrest. I don't have a warrant.
Travis fucking. All right. Hold on. I think I found a better version.
So I heard most of it. So they got the wrong guy. Is that necessarily what's going on?
That's kind of what's going on right now. Yeah, and they're being pretty aggressive about it. He's pretty adamant about that. You have the wrong guy. Why are you guys and even at one point, I don't know if you heard him say that you're not free to go, and you are being detained.
Right. I've actually seen this happen before. Not with this situation. Like, never seen this situation, but I've seen people get arrested who are not the right person.
Now this one does keep advancing a little bit.
Situation.
It gets even more interesting. And I will say this though. Okay, we started straight out from that police officer talking to this man that was sitting there. We didn't see what led up to why he was talking to him. I will say that. And even at this point, this dude is being, at the same time, if I was being arrested in this manner and I was definitely the guy, I would probably be pretty pissed off. But at the same time, this guy's being pretty brutal. But at the same time, I'd be fucking pissed.
I don't know where this is at, but in the state of Texas, it is not a defense to fight the cops or run from the cops or
100%.
Or not to comply with them, even if you're being wrongfully arrested. In the state, I don't know where this is at, and I don't know what the laws are out wherever this may be.
Yeah.
But basically, the law is you're to be arrested if, let's just say, even if you weren't. If somebody says or an officer says you're under arrest, only a magistrate can unarrest you. when it comes down to probable cause and things of that nature. You have to go through the process. It's unfortunate. The whole situation sucks. I've seen it happen before, but a judge will come in and then find out that you're not the right person or whatever, and you're free to go. But if you were to fight in that moment, or were to run, or any of those things, that is a completely separate. Yeah, and you can still be charged even if the initial crime you didn't commit one. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and the reason why it's that way is because sometimes people will fight back, and then it'll turn into a much unfortunate situation.
This actually ends up a lot better for this guy. We'll continue just a little farther here.
You got the wrong guy, I'm telling you. My ID, motherfucker. You guys got the wrong guy. You guys are fucking stupid. That's not you. You guys are racial profile thinking I'm somebody. I'll take both of you motherfuckers. Take them cuffs off. Sir. I got them. Take them cuffs off. I'll take both of you motherfuckers right now. This guy got the cleanest record. Y'all just... I'll take both of you motherfuckers right now. Take the cuffs off. For me, y'all got the wrong stupid, man. You guys are the dumbest motherfuckers. Well, they want to get tough. Travis fucking what? You are stupid. I don't know how you become a cop. The wrong dude. Matter of fact, anybody can become a cop nowadays.
Big Blue says he's in the background.
Really had no other choice to do.
He's Funke Blue.
You guys really had nothing else to do.
Let's see him here.
But I don't think he says he can't hear the sound, so I'm reminding him he has to go to Discord.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, hold on. Yeah, in Discord, tell him to go into the waiting room. I do see him.
Yeah, you have to click on waiting room, Big Blue.
And then
I know you're watching. I've seen him in the live chat.
And once you get in there, I can pretty much get him in here pretty quickly.
Yeah, Big Blue says that, I guess he's seen this one. I saw him in the live chat. Apparently, this guy... We'll wait for him.
Yeah, let me see if I can get him in here real quick.
He says he tried it, didn't want to... I tried it, didn't want to get on. I don't know what he meant by that, but let me, if you can pause this real quick, I'm going to give him a call.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pause myself. Let me call him real quick.
I'll put it on here on me. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, thank you all for being here. Seriously appreciate it. Yeah, if you're hanging out in the background, hit that like, my friends. So I try to get old Big Blue on here real quick.
All right, hey, Big Blue.
Yeah, I'm trying to jump on there again.
All right, so what you have to do is you have to go to the Discord website, and then you have to... We already have your video on, but you have to go to the Discord website, and where it says podcast, you says waiting room, click on waiting room, and then he'll bring you in. Are you on Discord already? Are you? All right, let me know. I can't hear anything. All right, he's working it.
Nice,
good old Blue.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, we can get him on here.
I see him in the waiting room. Yeah, and he's in the waiting room on the side.
Oh, cool,
there.
cool. Let me get him in here. Get his video here. There we go. And pull him up here. Bam! Big Blue, what's going on, brother?
Up for a second.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Nice. What's going on, man?
Nice. It looks like you're on a vacational beach somewhere.
Dude, that fits perfect with the background. I got us on like a beach. With a fire happening back here.
Sorry, man. I was trying to work it, and I put myself in a waiting room for a while, and I was like, you can't see it, so I started messaging on there. So
yeah, I should have kept an eye on that. My bad, Blue.
No, it's okay. Okay.
But yeah, you had seen this video before that we're watching?
Yeah, that's something I've seen.
It's a couple of years old. I remember just literally one random morning, it was all over the place.
Oh yeah, I like when they look at his ID and they're like, oh.
Hold on 1 second. I do need to do one more thing. I just need to get you in here. Actually, boom. Just copy that.
So this is like a lot of, you're doing a lot of your own work when it comes to this type of program.
It is, dude. It's a lot of work, man. Yeah, now I will say when I'm come on your show, I like how easy and swift it is to kind of send the link. You're right in there. But I do like the customization on this side of it.
Yeah, there is a lot of more you can do with it. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But I will admit, like, I would like to get to where I could, because I mean, everything's just kind of every single, like, sometimes Dan's on, sometimes he's not. So every day I kind of have to just change it up a bit. I need to get to where I have, like, you know, certain frames or screens set forever. Like, you know, if you guys are on, I already have it set, ready to go, but I always change the same one over and over. And I need to just get it set. This is for Drunk Turkey, you know, this is for whoever, this is for other guests, this is for my brother, and be ready to rock. But we get it going though.
Yeah, thank you.
People in live chat say you must be fishing tonight. We need to go fishing, Blue. We need to go fishing. It's been
I
too
plan on
long.
going fishing soon, man. I
Dude, I ain't been fishing. I don't even know how long. I'm talking years, many years. But I like to fish.
We're I wouldn't say avid fishermen, or maybe Blue is. I and Jaime, myself as well. We've all gone fishing quite a bit. I have a boat. But Blue has like you have a little pontoon thing.
Yeah, I just sold my boat this summer, so I had a boat too. Yeah, I think we had a boat at the same time.
That's badass, having a boat.
Me, Jaime, and Blue all have a boat at the same time. But I'm selling mine. Jaime, I don't know if Jaime sold his yet or not, but I think he was talking about it. And then Big Blue sold his. So our lakes in the area in Texas are drying up, and so it kind of sucks.
That really sucks.
Very bad.
Like all over the place.
The places that we go fishing, like for instance, near me is Medina Lake.
Yeah.
And in Medina Lake, it's like at 8% now.
Man, and it used to just be, I mean, huge and good to go.
Yeah. Just a couple of years ago, it was like at almost 60 something percent. It was a little bit low, but it was still 60s, and now it's like at 8. So that just kind of tells you how much volume it lost.
Yeah, I lost quite a bit.
And Amistad is another lake that we've gone to. That one is gone down quite a bit. Then we used to. Well, I've gone down to a couple of creeks in the area, and so it's a lot of bass out here. That's what we go fishing,
dude.
For.
And
Mostly bass and cats.
It's starting to warm up here in West Virginia too. It's starting to get the perfect time frame, man. That's hell. Me and Dan in general haven't been fishing together as brothers probably since we were actual children. Any other time I go, I used to have a buddy that he went with pretty regularly that I don't hang out with as much. But man, you guys are making me want to fish just talking about it. There's nothing like just chilling, drinking a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The last time me and Jaime went out into Medina in my boat, I think we caught somewhere around 15 or something like that, 15 bass.
Damn,
it was a good time.
That's a lot, dude.
The most in a one sitting that we've done, or that I've done, was like 25 myself, and that was on a boat out there in Amistad, and I had a couple of friends of mine that knew the area very well, and we went to one spot with Carolina rigging it, just kind of letting it go up against the ground, and boom, caught some monsters. The biggest one that I've caught, IPB, was it 9 pounds, and so that was on a bass. Out in the ocean, caught a couple of hard heads, and I think a couple of trouts, but nothing too crazy.
That's something I'd like to do. I'd like to fish in the ocean, dude. I've never done that.
Yeah, I've done deep sea, and I've done bay fishing, and I've done lake fishing, and my personal best is probably like an 8-pound bass. When we went deep sea, right when we got to the good spot, I got sick. It was like an 8-hour tour. I got 6 hours later.
That's
so bad.
So I have like a 18-foot skiff, right? And we're out in the bay where it opens up to the ocean, out in like Rockport or whatever, or Port Aransas. And I anchored in, and I was tying my bait on, and I was like, man, I'm getting nauseous, and I didn't realize that we were shaking pretty big. That the waves were getting really, really big. And we ended up having to go in because it was getting too crazy out there.
Damn, dude. That sounds fun as hell, though, man. Like,
it really is, man. We need, like, me and the boys need to go back out there. Like, I haven't fished in a minute because, well, I had an Achilles tendon rupture not too long ago. I think just about maybe a year and a half ago. so that kind of put a damper in my fishing. And
Yeah, everything, right? And involved water.
yeah, life.
Yeah.
It sucked, man.
Sounds terrible.
We were up there in the I was up there in the mountains of Colorado, and me and the wife were looking for areas. This is when we were engaged, and we ended up getting married in Colorado. And while we were looking for venues in Colorado, we went during the winter time, and it was snowing. And at the time, I had a 2-wheel truck. And so we ended up getting stuck, and we had to push the truck out of the snow. Now, my truck at the time, I think, was a 2020 Ram 1500. So it was a bigger truck. And I was pushing it, and I had probably about maybe 7-8 feet to push it out, and we could have been all right. We're about 6 feet into it, and all of a sudden just snap. And I mean, I heard the loudest pop. I've lost my ability to stand and just fell to the ground.
Jeez.
Now, it looked and sounds a lot worse than what it felt, and I think a lot of it had to do with I think I went into shock right away.
Yeah.
Because I fell to the ground. My wife thought she ran me over, so she jumped out of the vehicle, and she ended up sliding and falling on the ground. And so we're looking at each other from underneath the truck. I'm in front of it, and she's on the side. And she's like, "Are you okay? I thought I ran you over." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I ruptured my Achilles tendon." And she was like, "Nah, no way." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure." I heard a loud ass snap, so I got up.
And you're just being
hobbled
mostly
to one
calm
point.
about it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's
I
crazy.
didn't feel any pain. I just couldn't feel
But
anything.
adrenaline was probably pumping,
And
right?
Yeah, and shock. I want to emphasize there was a lot of shock
Yeah.
going on. My foot was just dangling. It just felt dead. And so I took my boot off, and what had happened was the Achilles had completely come off the heel, and it took a piece of the heel with it, and it rolled my calf up, and
Oh
you
my
could see a
God,
bump.
bro.
You could see a bump where the bottom of my calf used to be,
Oh.
and that was part of the heel that had popped off. And my wife just
Dude.
grabbed some snow and just kind of put it on there, and she was like, "All right, everything's gonna be okay. You know, we're still stuck. Let me go find some stuff to try to get us unstuck." And I was like, "No, that's how people end up on the missing 411. They separate and shit like
Dude,
that."
100%.
I was like, "We're gonna stay here." I was like, "Behind us, there's a Jeep. There's a Jeep parked there. That person that owns that Jeep is eventually gonna come back. We'll wait for them to come back."
That's smart as hell. Honest
So
to
we
God.
waited about 2 hours, and then the guy showed up, and
But
he
that
ended up being
sucks.
he ended up being like a wild rescue, right? And this was during the time of the big C-19, right? And so we asked him for help, and we didn't have masks on. He was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 wait." I was like, we're like, "What's your problem, dude?" We were so fixated on what was going on in my leg, we completely forgot that was a thing at that
Right.
moment. And he's like, "No, I don't need any help. I'll get you guys out." So he goes, and he was a complete sexist too, because he looks at me. He's like, are you gonna drive?" And I'm like, "Dude, my right leg is jacked up. I can't drive. Like, I told you this. I'm pretty sure I ruptured my Achilles tendon." I think he thought I
Wow.
was faking it. And so
Hey, dude, get in there
my
real
wife,
quick. We'll fix. It's like, what?
yeah, he's like, "Jump in the driver's seat, and I'll
What is
pull
that?
you
Was
out." I
that
was like,
woman going to do it? Is that woman about to do it?
Right.
No, bud. I'm about to get the hell out of here.
Right, and
What?
he ended up pulling us out about 2 feet, and then we were able to get on out of there, and we still had another drive, probably about an hour and a half down the mountain to get to the doctor's office. And so, I was probably about 4 hours from the time that I snapped it to the time I actually got to see a doctor. And it sucked, man. I ended up, having to come back. That was our second day in Colorado, so we were supposed to spend a week up there. And day 2, it snaps. And it was in the morning too, so it sucked. Like, I didn't get to spend any time out there. And we come back. I end up going to the doctor, and they tell me they're gonna have to do surgery on me and the whole 9 yards. And that recovery sucked ass, man.
I'd say, dude. Like, when you literally started talking about the calf rolling up, Jesus Christ, that sounds like insane.
Yeah, that's
Like a
pretty
muscle
bad.
or something rolling.
It'll roll up like a shrivel up.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's
And my
stretchy.
calf. Yeah, my calf still don't look the same. It's significantly smaller than the other
Did you get all
one.
your strength and stuff back though?
No, man, because like I said, I was pretty terrified of this whole thing, man. Like, I didn't show it the most part, but when it came down to like the recovery part, I didn't let anybody touch it or anything. So, like, I'm a huge Steelers fan, right? This happened in January of 2021. It wasn't 2020 because that's when C19
January
started.
February 2020 was when it basically was knocking off. So
yeah, so it was 2021 when it happened, January 2021, and the following football season, the Steelers go and they play the Kansas City Chiefs, and in that game in the playoffs, T.J. Watt covers a fumble and takes it back to the house. And this was in the second quarter, and the Steelers go up. This was the only time that in that game that the Steelers were winning. I literally jumped up and down, and then I was like, "Oh shit,
dude!"
I was so scared because I was jumping, and I was like making sure my leg was all right. But yeah, it took me that long to do things like that. Like it was pretty bad. So right now, I go jogging now. I work out, things of that nature. It's fine, but it is significantly, well, maybe not significant, but you can tell the difference between the size of my calf muscle on my right leg and the one on my left. It's not the same. And
wow,
hopefully,
dude.
I don't play basketball no more. I don't want to jump. I don't want to risk it.
no, dude. Yeah, I would never. I'd just be so afraid of it being too tender. Like, I guess.
Oh man, but the worst thing that happened. So I never felt it, right? I ended up going and getting surgery, and they put a nerve block or whatever in your knee, right, so that you don't feel it while you're in surgery. The doctor tells me that, long story short, tells me that I had my surgery on Monday. He said about 18 hours later, you're gonna be in the most pain you've ever been. Make sure you're taking this medication. So I'm freaking out thinking about this, right? So I had my surgery on Monday. Tuesday, I still don't feel nothing. I'm waiting for it. Wednesday, I don't feel nothing. Thursday, I don't feel anything. Like Thursday night, I started to regain feeling. Like my leg felt cold that entire time. And it started to get warm again. And I never felt any pain. So I was like, hell yeah. Like I didn't feel any of this pain that they said I was going through. I started getting into a walking boot a couple months later, and I started to ride a bicycle because I wanted to continue to maintain my fitness. And so I couldn't run, so I wanted to ride a bike. And I was riding my bike without my walking boot because I didn't need it because I wasn't really pushing down like this with my foot. And I was going around a corner on a neighborhood trail that I have where it's portion of it is concrete, portion of it is rock. And I was on the concrete part of it on the sidewalk. And when I turned the corner, there was some people walking up in my direction. And so I pulled off to the side. I pulled off a little bit too much and went off the sidewalk into the grass area. Now, I didn't realize that the sidewalk was like 4 inches wide. And so when I turned back on, I bent my wheel and fell down. The shitty thing about it was my bike swung and hit me about 2 inches above where my surgery point was on my leg, and the bar hit me freaking hard. That was the most painful aspect of this entire process. I thought I fucked it up.
You thought it was over. Restart the whole thing.
I got up. I was able to walk on it, and I was moving my bike. My wife was with me. I asked her to go get the truck. There was a little like shortcut area that she could park the truck at, and we can, get the bikes up there. And so she went, got into the truck. And the more I walked, the less I was able to. And by the time I got to the truck, I was like basically hobbling. And I had a huge knot right above where that incision was. One of my physical therapists is actually like my neighbor from 3 houses down. We saw him outside the next day, and he came to look at me, and he squeezed the back of my leg, and he said, it doesn't look good because normally when you squeeze that area, your foot will have this reaction, and it wasn't having that reaction, which typically meant that the tendon wasn't connected. And I was like, well, fuck that. If it's gone, I'm just screwed because I'm not going to go pay an extra, like, I think it was like $11,000 for the first surgery. I wasn't going to pay that again. And I was like, I just had to deal with it. Fortunately, it didn't come undone. I believe what I had was a calf bruise.
Dude,
and
that's insane.
The calf bruise.
How did you get?
Yeah, the calf bruise.
How did you get past the portion where they thought they were amping you up for all that pain? How did you not get any of that? Like,
I have no idea, but I didn't complain about it.
No, yeah, dude, that's what would have been freaking me out. Just the anticipation of this pain, like, because man, like muscle pain and joint pain, that's the freaking worst, dude. Like,
Yeah, man, it knocked me down for a little bit. I ended up getting back into that walking boot for a while, and then fortunately, it didn't undo anything, and I'm still good to go, and I've been walking since. And so I just take things easier. I don't do some of the things I used to do. I don't
Yeah.
jump from place to place, things like that. Oh man, I'm on the clock.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to finish this video real quick. I ain't gonna keep you guys for too much longer. Just let's
it.
get that full screen here. Yeah, this one ain't too much longer. You have seen this one though, Blue, you'd said. So this guy's in the middle of being arrested right now still.
Yeah, I saw it a while back. But if I remember right, it's the one I think, you know.
I think you know which one.
Watch how funny this is. Go ahead, look at it. No, hey, look at it. Oh, what does that say? What does that say? Oh, wrong guy. Wrong guy. Oh my God. No, get the fuck off me, dude. Get off me, dude. Bro, you're fucked up. I need our cars. I need your supervisor over here. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor over here. You guys are stupid. Stupidest motherfuckers I ever met in my life. How'd you guys? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Look at him. My supervisor is right here. Supervisor. Sir, can you please come here? Are you the supervisor? These guys are racist profiling. They assume I'm someone that I'm not. I told them I'm not who they think I am. And they said, no, you are.
So in this spot right here, so they arrested this or detained him, cuffed him up. They look at his ID. They figure out that it's not the guy, right? In this point in time, and down here, I don't think this is true. It says stupid cops arrest a black man turned out to be an FBI agent. I don't think that's actually true. I think they looked at this man's ID and realized that it wasn't the guy. But at this point right here, everything you've seen and kind of how he's actually acting, where would you be if you were just say if you were that cop that's being accosted who's supposed to be their supervisor? Because I mean, everything that you said beforehand with the Texas stuff actually makes a lot of sense. You know, you're gonna have to go through the motions and then you'll figure it out later. But they actually uncuff this man. And then he starts to go in on him. How do you handle that situation?
I don't think they actually arrested him. I think they only detained him, which is a difference. You know, you can detain somebody and place them in handcuffs for your safety and the safety of that person while you determine what the outcome of the situation is.
Okay.
So just because somebody's placed in handcuffs doesn't mean that they're under arrest. Now, if they informed him that he's under arrest for something, then that is a completely different story. Then the only person or the only thing that can get you unarrested is a magistrate.
Okay, one more question before they, and this could vary. I don't think this does, but it could maybe vary by state. But they had him in the cuffs, so they don't have to actually read the Miranda rights before the cuffs go on.
No, the only time you read Miranda rights,
I'm learning something. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the only time you have to read Miranda rights is if you're going to interrogate somebody for a crime that you suspect that they committed.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so if you don't, and asking them questions about who they are, identifying them are not interrogating questions. So, like for instance, if you feel that this person is a suspect, and there's a ways around it. You can say at the time of the questioning, we thought he was just a witness, right? And that's your way you can articulate getting around not having to read Miranda rights and talk to somebody that you may truly suspect is a suspect. You can say that you thought they were just a witness, but at any point, once you start to be accusatory or you say something that's accusatory, or they say or implement themselves in a manner that would lead you to believe that they committed the crime, at that point is when you have to read their Miranda rights if you continue to want to question them.
Okay.
And so a lot of people think that, oh man, this person arrested me. You know, they asked me my name, my address, my phone number while they were booking me. You know, they never read my Miranda rights. I'm getting off on this. No, that's not how it works.
Okay. Wow. I really did, think that if they put you in those cuffs, that they would probably have to actually read the Miranda rights. Okay. I'm learning something here. That's awesome. That's interesting.
I just want to say, I got to jump off, guys. I got to go to work. Y'all take care. Sorry I jumped on so late.
Hey, first of all, thank you for coming on here, Billy Bill. We're not going to last too much longer, but I appreciate you popping on, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. Y'all have a good day and y'all have a good show, man.
Later, dude.
Later.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to pop him out of the... Yeah, he's good. Nice. All right, Daniel, do you have time for one more?
Yeah. I got some time.
Okay, I got one more here that I had pulled up. And this one's more on the funny side, but at the same time, this would piss you off if this happens to you. So let me get this over here. All right. So these guys handcuff a man that is trying to unlock his own car.
Hey, what are you doing? Is that yours? Okay. Were you involved in an argument earlier with some female?
Yeah, about getting my car back.
Okay.
Is there an issue?
Well, somebody called in that you're breaking into the car, so that's
okay,
why.
It's my car.
Okay.
I mean, it says L&M Computer Solution on the back of it, so
okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you have your ID on you by chance?
It's in the car.
It's in the car? Okay.
Is there anything else you need?
Well, I need to make sure that you're not breaking into a car, that's all.
Here we see a man being accused of breaking into a car, literally proving by definition that he isn't doing anything illegal after opening the car's locked trunk and providing his ID to the officers despite her seemingly hostile tone and body language.
Don't run up on me like that.
You need to relax, bud. Unit 44.
All right, straight out the gate, there's a little bit of animosity here, right?
A little bit.
You'd be pissed off though, right?
I mean, maybe. I mean, you have to understand that the appearance of what you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody was breaking into a car and it was his car and it was looking suspicious, wouldn't you want the police to come up and question that person?
Good point. Good point.
Over here, please.
I'm going to finish getting in my car.
Stay right here.
For what? Am I being detained?
Stay right here.
Am I being detained?
Yes.
For what?
For right now, I don't know if you're breaking into a car.
Exactly.
Stand right there.
That's suspicion. That's
Stop. Stop. Seriously,
oh,
you want to
you
play?
really need to go here?
Stop.
Because you're violating my rights now.
Okay, well then you can relax until I can determine
You're
that.
violating my rights. You really want to do this? Because I need your badge number. I need your badge number.
You can get our names and everything also.
Right.
And of course, he gets detained just for questioning the officer's commands, even after clearly showing that this is his car. But apparently having the correct key and knowing where his ID was is not enough to convince the power-tripping officer.
Because I can definitely make a complaint about this.
That's fine. Absolutely, you can. Stand right there.
I'll stand right here. What am I going to do?
You'll stand, buddy. Stop. Stop. Stand right there.
Now you're putting your hands
Stop.
on me? Now you
Stand right there.
Dude, don't touch me. Now you facing that way. Or what? Or what is going to happen? You going to take away my birthday? That way, sir. You going to take away my birthday? No, you're not. She's got my license. She's got the thing. I can give you the insurance card, which is in there and it has my license on it.
Okay, and that's all we needed.
So that's it. You got it.
Okay, I need you to relax for a minute.
I can't get my license.
I will stand by, okay?
The man is spot on here again. How did they expect him to provide more evidence that he owns the car when they handcuffed him while trying to give them more documentation? The detained man then explains that the earlier argument the cop alluded to was about him getting his car back from the woman he was arguing with, saying that this is where she dropped it off and he got the keys back. He also says that his key doesn't open the doors, which explains why he left the keys in the truck when trying to retrieve his insurance information.
All right, as soon as they can confirm this, I'm going to take you out.
You look right there on that keychain, it's got my dog tag right there.
Okay.
That's all of it in there.
Okay.
So, I mean, but like I said, now you did this, now you violated my rights, now I'm going to have to do a civil suit against you.
Do whatever you need to do, bud.
What also shouldn't be lost here is the callousness of
That's
this
funny. I've heard
officer's-
that a lot of times, and it never happens. Yeah, that's the thing. Is at the end of the day, I'm sure this guy would have been very pleased with these officers if somebody was breaking into his house, into his vehicle. You know, I'm sure he would have been upset and been like, "Oh, I'm gonna civil suit you for not, stopping somebody for breaking into my car when you guys saw them clearly trying to break into a car that they didn't have keys to." So, when it comes to that type of stuff, I find it to be. I understand, this person is, it's
I can see the anger. I can see why the guy's frustrated.
Outcome based. Right. But he also has to understand that if somebody wasn't necessarily breaking into their car, how would they want the police officer to treat that person?
Right.
Would they want that officer to take that person's word and say, "Oh, I own the car. I'm just, trying to get into it." Oh, okay. No problem, sir. Continue to break into the car and leave. I'm sure at that point, they're just taking the word of somebody.
And they both started out
a
little. Well, him more so, but they both got pretty aggressive pretty quickly.
Well, at the end of the day, if you have somebody who appears to be breaking into a vehicle, and then if they have nothing to hide and they're cooperative, that would assume that there's nothing to hide.
Right.
If somebody's acting in that manner, usually it's because they're hiding something. So, he ends up becoming irrational to a certain extent, or becomes and I understand why, but he ends up becoming upset at that point for his safety and for the safety of the officers. it's probably best to place him in handcuffs and detain them. You know, it doesn't mean that he's under arrest. It's just making sure that this person, one, if he is somebody that is breaking into a car while they're researching this, doesn't take off and run. Also doesn't have, you know, pull out a weapon or attack the officer while they're looking behind their back,
And
things of
we've
that nature,
seen
which
that
are
a lot.
things that have, yeah,
We've
things
seen
that
many
have happened
videos
in
of that
multiple
stuff.
occasions. Exactly. And so, you know, it's very outcome biased. You know, it's outcome biased basically meaning the fact that, okay, this guy ended up being the owner of the vehicle. But at the end of the day, if somebody's acting suspicious, you're going to want the officers to check it out. I mean, people are, in my opinion, sometimes can be unrealistic. You know, they want cops to be a certain way until it affects them in a certain manner. You know, they want cops to crack down on burglars until they appear to be breaking into their own car and a cop comes and talks to them. Oh, don't be that way. And then they get upset when cops don't, you know. I mean, it's,
because
you
at
know,
the end of the
it's
day,
very
they have a
similar.
lot more going on than even this situation. They're thinking about, what is this dude doing to begin with? They don't actually know if it's his car. They, like you were saying, they don't know if he might have a weapon, or, you know, and he's pretty
Right.
agitated as well. And you make a lot of good points, honestly.
It's just people can be unrealistic sometimes, you know. It's
100%.
you can't have your cake and eat it too, and you can't have the police department out there enforcing crime and being proactive. You know, see, that's what you want. You know, how many times do you hear people complain that, oh man, the cops don't do anything but take reports? They, you know, something has to happen before they do anything. Well, this is an instance where they're being proactive. They see somebody. There's been a call for service that this person appears to be breaking into a car. So it's not just like, oh, they decided to pick on this man for no reason.
Right,
There's a
yeah.
call for service. People are seeing a suspicious activity being done, and they themselves are seeing the suspicious activity happening. To me, it makes perfect sense to go out there, question the guy, and if he becomes hostile, all right, you know, for your safety and for the safety of the officers involved, you're going to be placed in handcuffs. Doesn't mean you're under arrest. That's just that until we figure out this situation, this is unfortunately what has to happen based on that guy's temperament. You know, at the end of the day, if he would have been right, you know, at the end of the day, all they had to do was run the registration on the vehicle, ask him for his name, date of birth, and confirm that that's who he is. And if they can get that information and that matches, then that would lead you to believe that this is the owner of the vehicle. But when you're coming out and you're, you know, hot and heavy off the bat, it puts everybody in a bad position.
Yeah, it does. And then we've got 3 officers there, which, you know, looks bad to begin with. But yeah, he was pretty aggressive with them. Real quick, we out of the chat here, we got a super chat, and Mark Pash has bought us both a beer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Appreciate
super
that.
chat, $10, 10 pounds, I think, though. Yeah. Well, I'll make sure to get that to Daniel, and we'll definitely drink a beer for you, Mark.
I'll have to get some alcohol. We need to get you guys back on the show. We need to do another beers and beards.
100%, man. I am super down for that. I want to get you on my show on a Friday night.
We can do that.
And I know that you guys go on Friday, and it would be a long ass night. You know, I mean, hell, you don't have to stay the whole night either, but it would be cool to get on here and get real loose on a Friday, because that's when we usually get a little bit more loose, because I mean, I work through the week, but on the weekends I'm off. So, you know, Saturday I don't get up till like noon after those shows.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, the last Friday I ended up doing a marathon. So, like I said, I talk also Steelers. So I have a YouTube show called State of the Steelers, and I'm also on Steel Current Network. And on last Friday we had the Drunk Turkey show, and then immediately after I was supposed to do an hour show with like 5 or 6 other sports content football content creators, and we were doing a mock draft. And it was supposed to last an hour, but that SOB ended up lasting like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I was like at 4 hours sitting in this chair. I was like, damn,
Dude, it gets to you, man. On a Friday night, we do about a 4-hour show on Fridays, 3 to 4 hours, about 10:30 to about 2, 3 in the morning sometimes. And dude, once I get up from here, man, you're feeling it. Like, it's a day's work, right?
Yeah, man. You know, I never, you know, just straight and honest, man. My ass hurts from sitting down for so long.
100%, dude. We put a lot of work in here, guys.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Like for instance, today I had the Drunk Turkey show in the morning, and then we had. So I'm part of another podcast called the Unofficial Steelers Podcast, with myself and a guy named Nathan Hines. He's from Pittsburgh, and he has a show called In Hindsight. And we did the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. We did our pre-draft party, and then I'm here. And so tomorrow we have I think the only thing I have tomorrow, unless my wife goes into labor, is the Drunk Turkey Show. Like, are you familiar with the Amy Mihaljevic case?
No, I'm not. Well, I've seen some postings, but I'm not overly familiar. No, but I have seen a little. Some of the. That's the missing lady, right?
Right. Well, she was found. She was found deceased. So
Oh, well, shit,
it was
see?
a 10-year-old. Yeah, it was a 10-year-old girl back in 1989 out there in Bay Village, Ohio. She went missing, and long story short, what ended up happening is somebody had called her on their phone, and like on a house line, because it's back in the 80s, right? So she used to go home and be by herself for about an hour. An hour later, after school, her brother would arrive. So sometime, more than likely, during that time that she was at home alone, somebody contacted her. Somebody knew that they had that her mom had gotten a promotion or a job position switch, and they had told this little girl, like, "Hey, I'm friends with your mom. I work with her. She got a promotion. I want to buy her a gift, but I don't know what to buy her. Would you be willing to meet me at the mall and help me pick out a gift? Now, don't tell anybody because it's a surprise," which
Yeah.
is a bunch of red flags. So the next day, she lies to her mom and tells her mom that she has a choir, or maybe not the next day, but in the day in question that she goes to decide to meet this guy, she lies to her mom and tells her mom that she has choir auditions, so she's going to be late after school. And so she ends up going to that Village Square mall, meets up with this man, and there's a couple of witnesses that have seen this man. And she ends up leaving with him. At 3 o'clock, when the brother gets home, because she got home at about 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, when the brother gets home, he calls mom and tells mom, "Hey, I'm home, but Amy's not home. She's still, not here." And mom says, "Don't worry about it. She has auditioning for choir. She'll be home later." About 30 minutes later, Amy calls her mom from nobody knows where to say, and tells her mom that she's home and she's okay. Mom hangs up the phone, has a false sense of security. Arrives home 2 hours later, sees her son Jason. Jason says Amy never showed up. So they start panicking, freaking out. Come to find out, she starts calling neighbors' kids, things like that. Neighbors' kids, or friends' kids from school, end up telling her that supposedly she had met somebody on the phone that said that they were going to meet to go buy a gift. There's a couple of reports of that, so that led police to believe that she didn't just wander off or get lost, right? And so they end up doing a search for it. Don't find her. This was late October of 1989. February of 1990, they find her body in a field right off the roadway about 50 miles away.
Wow.
Now, they believe that her life was taken shortly after her abduction, based on the clothing that she was wearing and some of the things with the case. Now, there was a few things that were missing. There was some earrings that were missing, her denim backpack, a notebook that said Buick Best in Class because her dad worked for Buick. I think her shoes were also missing. She was apparently they also found like a green curtain about 300 feet away from her body that they believe she was wrapped in. A lot of suspects come into play. A couple of years go by and they find out that a couple of other girls were getting phone calls of the similar, MO, "Hey, your parents got a promotion, we want to buy them a gift," type of thing. And what they ended up doing was they ended up tracking all these girls back to a nature center. This nature center, they had a guy that would volunteer there named Dean Runkle. Now, he kind of matches what those little girls had described of who they saw, and of the sketch that's out there. And I've actually been in contact with some guy named, an author named James Renner, who wrote a book on this situation, Boots on the Ground. He actually talked to Dean Runkle, and we were in email correspondence, and we had one video conference. And in that conference, he kind of told me some of the things that made Runkle suspicious, such as there was some claims of inappropriate behavior with kids, things of that nature. He also drove a Grand Prix that had a gold interior. Now, on the little girl's body, they found gold fibers that they believe traced back to a GM product, which Grand Am was a GM product, Pontiac, or Grand Prix, I'm sorry. So he's been suspect number one, but for whatever reason, they never arrested him. Now, 3 years ago, news station finds out doing a a court pool. They find out that somebody had came forward in 2019 stating that their ex-boyfriend possibly was the person that committed this crime. They say that this person was went out the day of that this person was that Amy went missing, didn't come home that night, and at 10 o'clock that night, though, called her and said, hey, have you heard about the disappearance of Amy? And they talked about it, and then he still didn't show up home. She stated that they have driven by there a couple of times where her body was at prior to her body being found. They looked up the vehicle that he had at the time, and he had an Oldsmobile, a gold one with gold interior.
Oh shit!
And they went and looked at a log of all the vehicles that passed by the day that they discovered her body, and they found out that this guy passed by. They did a polygraph test on this dude, and he failed. He failed for they said that he indicated deception. They were going to do a search in one of his storage rooms, and he ended up agreeing to it and was supposed to come back the next day to sign paperwork and never showed up. So they ended up pulling out a search warrant, and according to the documents, evidence was seized. Nobody knows what evidence there was, but nobody knew who this man was. The news station wasn't putting him out there. We figured out who he is. We've had sources come out close to us, and we put out that person's name in hopes that it would jog some memory of perhaps somebody who was in the area at the time, perhaps maybe saw this guy or was friends with him, maybe that he said something that was odd, but they couldn't put two and two together until now, thinking that maybe perhaps he's involved. And this person is named William Bill McClelland. We found out that he was a guy that lived approximately about half a mile from Bay Village Square. He worked in an area, well, he worked for his adopted dad, or his dad who adopted him, Cal Blackman, who was the founder of Radcon, and that business was located near Amy's mom's work. She worked at the Trader magazine, and there was a bar that she would attend that was nearby her work, which was also near Radcon. Now, when they spoke to Bill, he stated that he possibly had talked to Amy's mom, that he may have met her at the bar. He stated that he may have called Amy's house on a couple of occasions. Once being, he said that if he did call, that it was a wrong number. He stated that there was possible that he talked to Amy, and when they asked if Amy had ever been in his car, he said something to the effect like possibly. So there was a lot of weird statements that he was making. Now, for whatever reason, police haven't arrested him. They haven't put out his name. We did. We figured out who he was. We found out who this person was. His name's Bill McClelland, and he also looks very close to the person that these witnesses saw.
Shit.
In fact, we have a source who is close to one of those witnesses who informed our source that they identified Bill McClelland as the guy out of a photo lineup as the person that abducted Amy.
Wow.
And yet they still haven't arrested him.
Why the hell not? Where's this at? Where's this located?
In Bay Village, Ohio.
What the hell? Dude, that's freaking crazy. No, and I thought we were talking about totally something different when you started going into it. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either. We've had James Renner as one source. We have a lady named Christy, and we have two others that have come forward that are not willing to put out their name. In fact, tomorrow night, and the reason why I bring this up is Christy, who was best friends with Amy, is coming on our show.
Okay, nice.
To talk about what she knew about Amy and her family. She had sleepovers with Amy. Amy had slept over at her house. They had conversations and things of that nature. And so we have them on tomorrow. So if you guys aren't subscribed or have not checked out the Drunk Turkey Show, I highly recommend you do so.
Absolutely, 100%. That's fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely be in chat tomorrow night for sure on that. Real quick right here, we got a $5 super chat from Alice and saying thank you for the content. You guys are good. Appreciate that. And then one more down here from Save Me From Myself, a $20 super chat. I have an effing headache. But we'll be back and watch. Love to you all. And I hope your headache goes away. For sure. Save Me From Myself. And thank you so much for that $20. Yeah, it's been a banging ass show, dude.
Yeah, it's been a good one. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Filled up in here, man. And yeah, dude, we got to do this more often. I think, I don't know. It just works.
It does, man. It really does, and I'm more than happy to come on as whenever you need me, as long as my wife's not in labor or something.
Yeah. That was the thing last night. I was saying that's why I wanted to touch base today. I was like, I have a special guest tomorrow. I think I wanted to make sure, so that's why I was like, did you have that baby yet? Is it holding strong?
Not yet. The doctor wants us to wait until not this Thursday, not next Thursday, but the following Thursday. They don't think that she's going to be able to go that long. Our doctor suspects that she's going to go earlier than that.
Because the next Thursday is May 4th.
Dude, that would be great if it was May 4th.
Awesome, dude. I hope you land that, but yeah, for the sake of your wife, maybe she might not make that.
Yeah, the guys from Steel Curtain Network, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have a draft baby because the draft is this Thursday," and I was like, "Man, she better not go into labor." NFL draft.
You'd be there in that, like with your phone.
It would not be good. I'd be going live. And the Steelers select try to catch a baby at the same time.
That'd be funny as hell. Well, yeah, and congratulations also. Everybody in the chat saying
Appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Drunk Turkey Show. Make sure you guys tune in. Yeah, they go live. They go live all the fucking time, actually. But their main shows are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But you guys are going live in the daytime now, right?
Yeah. We're trying to figure out what's the best time on Tuesdays and Thursdays to throw out a show, and we're thinking that we've had a little bit of success at 9:30 in the morning, and so that might be our new slot on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, I got to catch that one earlier. And yeah, during the days I'm at work, but if I can jump in there, I try to. But yeah, next one for us, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Dan should be joining me, 9 p.m. Eastern time always. And then Friday, the 10:30 p.m. Eastern Publicly Buzzed Banger Show. I think that's what I'm gonna start calling it, man. That show always goes off the rails somehow. Hey, dude, you know what? You guys would love that show. Because randomly, I usually start off the Friday night show, which you pop in there all the time, and I'm sure you know, but I always start off the Friday night show with a real story, and dude, that thing just goes off the rails, and we'll usually end up talking about some paranormal shit, some alien shit, lost civilization shit. We get into the ancient alien stuff, dude. It gets pretty deep in there, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we dip our pen in conspiracy stuff. We recently talked about the Brazil's Roswell incident in 1996.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. Yeah, we talked about that.
I'm about to watch a documentary tonight about that. Literally
it's
tonight.
Very interesting.
Bro, I just found that today.
Yeah, we did a show on that last week.
I think you did that Friday. I didn't actually catch that show, but I remember the thumbnail, and I didn't know it was about this specific incident in 96 in Brazil. Dude, the trailer for the doc, is that the doc that got you on that path?
Yeah, so Jaime had known about it. I had heard about it, but I didn't really put too much stock into it. I didn't know how possibly real it was.
That's how I am.
There is some convincing stuff in that documentary.
Trailer.
I saw it. I saw it a couple of times.
A couple? Oh.
Yeah, I've seen it twice now, maybe 3 times. The first time, I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep through it because there's a lot of reading because it's in. It's not in English for the most part. Like a lot of the folks that are there,
they're in Brazil talking to the people that are still alive that actually seen this.
Right. So there's a lot of reading involved with that.
Yeah, I sent the trailer to Dan. Moment of Contact.
Yes,
dude, I'm watching that literally as soon as we get off here. Like that's my plan.
Let me know what you think,
That's
man.
crazy.
Let me know what you think. I'll say this: there's a lot of witnesses that corroborate each other, which is weird.
That's the way it kind of comes off in the trailer. That it's like it's too good to be true, right?
You would assume so, but you have multiple witnesses that saw the craft. You have multiple witnesses that describe certain aspects of what happened. I don't want to give it away for you.
Yeah.
You have multiple witnesses that describe certain procedures that the military took, and these witnesses that come forward aren't like connected. You have one that's 3 little girls. You have another witness that are a couple that are a farmer. You have another guy who flew ultralight airplanes. You have another person who was a firefighter. Then you have MP police, and so then you have a radiologist and a cardiologist, and so it's like that were from different parts of a hospital that weren't connected. I don't even think they were in the same hospital, and so they all have similar stories about this situation as far as their aspect of it, as far as descriptions of what they saw, what they smelled, things of that nature. makes it very credible, in my opinion, because it's not just the word of one person or one group of people. You have corroborating evidence from groups of people, and
Dude, it got me.
it's interesting.
It got me. The trailer 100% got me. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to check this out. So that's my plan as soon as we get off here. And yeah, I'll touch base back with you and let you know what I think. Because, dude, I'm all about some alien stuff, but there's nothing convincing, right? Like I love to think about it and dive into it, but at the end of the day, I've never been convinced. Oh shit, you might be muted. No, what did I do here? Did I do something on my side? Oh, there you are.
I think
There you
I'm. All right, that was weird. So for me, I've always wanted to believe that something was real.
Me too.
But in every situation, I found it to be probably unlikely. Now, the Bob Lazar story was one that was actually our first podcast we ever did, was on Bob Lazar.
I'm
And
pretty familiar with that
if you
stuff.
go back and watch it, we suck. It was our first podcast. Everybody's just kind of looking around and like, all right, so this is what happened. And with Bob Lazar, there's a theory out there that I'm kind of inclined to maybe believe, and that is that I think it may have been somewhat true, but I don't think it happened to Bob. So Bob Lazar was friends with a guy named John Lear. John Lear had indicated that there was a sub base in Area 51 at the time, and that there were reverse engineering alien craft prior to Bob Lazar being hired on supposedly by S4 in Area 51. And so there is and we have a friend whose name is Alien Girl 111. And she has a theory, and she told me about her theory, and I was like, man, that makes sense. And she goes, maybe the story is real, but it wasn't Bob Lazar. Now, there was a guy in Los Alamos who's friends with Bob, who's friends with also John Lear, who is an actual physicist. Perhaps maybe some of the stories that he was talking about happened to that person. They want to come forward, so Bob Lazar came out.
Right.
Because the one thing that kind of makes me wonder is, they do an extensive background check, and if you're friends with a guy who's claiming that you have alien spacecraft in this base, are you going to hire that guy? I don't think so.
No.
You're going to hire that guy. And so those things that made me believe that maybe perhaps Bob Lazar's story, there was some things in his story that made me believe that it wasn't completely true. But once I started to hear that, I was like, you know what, maybe there is some truth there. But when it comes to that situation, Bob Lazar says this is ancient. It was a part of some kind of dig. That could make some sense to me. Is it possible that there was an advanced civilization prior to us?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
there's been rumors and theories of, Atlantis and things of that nature. And, you go look at the pyramids in Egypt. There's been rumors that those things are a lot older than what they claim to have been, several thousand years older. As far as, like, for instance, the Sphinx had water erosion damage that would have equated that.
The Graham
fact that it
Hancock
was-
stuff, and
Exactly.
I love that shit,
And
dude.
Yeah, me too, man.
He's
And
getting his
so-
comeuppance now too.
Yeah. And so when you look at those things, is it possible that we had some kind of ancient technology that supersedes what we have? Like, I mean, if, did you know that there's certain parts of, like, the dinosaur area, I think, like the Jurassic and one of the earlier ones, I don't remember all of them, that was a longer period of time between now and the Jurassic period.
Right. No, I have
So
heard
there-
that.
So there's been millions and millions of years. And is it possible that, the world possibly being 4 billion years old,
Dude,
that
I think
200 million years ago,
Now-
somebody...
I'm not saying exactly where we're at now has happened again, but I think that this has probably happened a few different times, right? Look at the Earth. Like, just over a few thousand years, it takes everything over instantly, right? It covers everything back up. Who knows how old the planet actually is, and who knows how often this has happened? Maybe not exactly like this, maybe not even this advanced, or maybe this advanced. Who knows? And something catastrophic has happened and ended it, and then it's had to restart again over the next however many million years. Like, it's just a feeling in me that I want to believe that for some reason.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you find out that, for instance, the poles switch, right? Every so often, 100,000 years, 700,000 years, something like that. I think right now it's been 726,000 years since the last time it switched, so I think we're about 200,000 years overdue. According to certain scientists, and
Okay.
and that during this pole switch that the Earth stopped spinning for a period of time, and that doesn't mean that the wind and the water and things of that nature that are moving don't. So you have some crazy ass wind and a bunch of things that are happening. That is a cosmic or a catastrophe that would end a lot of things. I mean, here's the other thing: if Putin and Biden get too crazy and they push a couple of red buttons, that puts us back in freaking
dude,
Stone Age.
Yeah, man.
Maybe not that far, but like, the Dark Ages.
It'd be bad. It'd be some Mad Max shit for sure.
Yeah, and we'd have to start all over, and those things would have to happen. I mean, you look at it, for instance, even like the Titanic. The Titanic's been underwater for what, a little over 100 years now?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less.
Is that the teens one?
So, it in another 100 or 200 years, it's going to completely erode, and there'd be no evidence of it.
Exactly,
Could you imagine?
dude. That's my whole
Yeah.
point. Yeah. I think that it's happened, dude. Like, who's to say that this world hasn't been overtaken a few different times, and how far or even more advanced have we gotten in the past? Because if you look at what has been here for a long period of time, and if you look at the Hancock stuff and the Sphinxes and the pyramids, dude, that stuff don't make any fucking sense. It don't make a lick of sense when you really get into it. Like there was an advanced civilization that made those. There's no other way to really look at it. The precision of the tools that were used, and they're and all over the planet. There's something similar, right? Like it's insanity.
Yeah.
I love that train of thought though. Like,
And then there's the other thought too, that maybe perhaps some of the crafts that we're seeing aren't extraterrestrial but interdimensional. If there is such a thing as parallel universes and interdimensional things, maybe perhaps there's a universe out there where, we're a lot more advanced than what we are now, or another species. And I had one theory, and this might, think about this while you're watching your documentary, of if there was an alternative universe where dinosaurs weren't wiped out by an asteroid, and they were beginning, they had an advanced species of reptile ended up being developed out of that, out of the dinosaurs, where would they be right now if they've had millions of years of evolution? And so perhaps maybe
that's a good train of thought. Even, I mean, we're fucking monkeys, bro.
Right, exactly. And so if the asteroid doesn't occur, and reptiles are able to evolve for 65 million years longer, who's to say that something advanced doesn't come out of there? And then who's to say they don't eat the mushrooms, right? Because that's the other theory, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
The
one.
other theory is that stoned ape theory, where you had some primates start eating mushrooms, and that's what ended up creating language and some form of civilization,
opening up the brain, essentially, right? Like.
Yeah.
And dude, the brain alone is something we still to this day don't really understand a lot about. Like, it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, dude, Friday night episode would be perfect, dude. Like, that'd be really good. Just a taste of it right there. But dude, I ain't gonna keep you all night. I'm literally about to go start that documentary right now.
Sounds good, man. Let me know what you think.
I will.
I appreciate you having me on.
Tomorrow night, Drunk Turkey Show. Make sure you're over there. I'll probably be in chat hanging out. Again, Thursday, Friday night, Publicly Buzzed. Keep your eyes on these. We're always dropping videos. Drunk Turkey never stops. I'm putting them out as much as I can. And yeah, dude, thank you so much for hanging out, dude. We'll definitely be doing this sooner than later.
Sounds good, my man. See you later.
All right, later, brother.
Later.
Thank you all in chat. Seriously, as you head out the door, hit the like. Thank you all so much for a killer night.
See, we shoot them up bang bang over here. We not scared of they motherfucking ass.